What's up, guys? Welcome back to Michigan Muckraker. My name's Michelle. Today is the 14th of November of 2023, and last week the Green Charter Township, last week the vote took place for several different items across Michigan, and one of them was the Green Charter Township Board, of course, being recalled. And I'm sure you've heard the news that they were all recalled, and I wanted to say congratulations to not only Green Charter Township, but also all of the board members, of course. And sorry, my dog wants to play, so he's all excited. So I want to say congratulations to the board members. This is a really awesome thing that happened. The world is actually watching. The very first article that came out that I saw was actually from India News, so pretty cool stuff. There are two other townships that actually also voted out their town supervisors, the Big Rapids Township Board. Supervisor Bill Stanek, Fat Cat Bill Stanek, he got recalled, and Carmen Bean got put in place, so congratulations to him as well. And then there's another megasite township board supervisor that was recalled and replaced. So that was Troy Shroud for Eagle Township. So congratulations to all of you. My biggest advice is to listen to the people that you are supposed to be working for. Obviously, the prior township board members did not listen to the people, and that is ultimately why they got Das Boot. So listen to them over politicians. That is my prime advice to you. I know that some people have some worries about the future of the township board, but I think that these individuals will do a great job. And again, listen to the community. So we'll be watching, and, just make sure you choose the people over the politicians. That is all we want. So I'm going to get into all the details on that and several other things. And then, of course, by the thumbnail, you see that I want to talk about Kristina Karamo, which I don't know her. I've never met her, of course. And I did not know anything about her before this year. And I still don't know much about her. But there's a lot going on there that I think we need to pay attention to. Because I think that she is anti-establishment, and that is why there are so many issues going on with the Michigan GOP. The establishment GOP wants her out, and they are doing everything they can to make her look bad, which is really awful. So we're going to get into that at the end of this. So first up, I'm going to get into all of the details for the recalls and basically the vote from last week. Good morning, Dragonfly. Thank you very much for joining me. And hopefully I can get into a better flow. I'm very stop-start this morning, but it happens. So the first one I'm going to show you is the one that I saw first. All I did is type in Michigan elections, and this is the very first article that I saw about the Green Charter Township recall, which is what we're going to talk about first. And again, the world is watching. People are interested in knowing what's going on because this is, of course, Gotion is a Chinese company, but it's also environmental concerns as well, which we're going to get into. So the recall organizers accused the board of betraying the interest of township residents who were concerned about the environmental, economic, and national security implications of the battery plant. It's crazy that India News actually does a better job of being unbiased, of course, I guess we should consider that America right now is very, I was going to say bipolar, but that's not the word, polarized. So India News coming at it, I think, from a good angle. At least the very first thing they say is environmental, economic, and national security implications. So they also claim that the board violated the Open Meetings Act and Freedom of Information Act by withholding information and public input on the deal. All true, all great, a great start. The board members defended their decision, saying that the Gotion project would bring jobs, investment, and tax revenue to the township, which has a population of about 4,000 people. They also said they followed the legal procedures and consulted experts and officials of the deal. The recall election was a landslide victory for the anti-Gotion candidates, who won by margins of 20 to 40 percentage points. This is another thing I haven't seen in any other article about, the margins. So I found that interesting. The results showed that the majority of the township voters rejected the board's arguments and sided with the recall organizers. The recall election also had a high turnout of 68% compared to 38% in the 2020 general election. I thought that was interesting as well. Gets into the details about who was recalled. Let's see. Denise McFarland, the incumbent treasurer of Green Charter Township, was defeated in her bid for re-election by Robert Henderson, who received 656 votes compared to McFarland's 582 votes. So it wasn't a landslide, but they definitely won. I mean, there is only just under 4,000 people in Green Charter Township. 2 votes were cast for unresolved write-in candidates. Similarly, the Roger Carroll, a trustee, also faced defeat in the race against Kelly Cushway. She received Roger Carroll received 527 votes, while Cushway 707. So that's bigger. 4 votes were allocated to unresolved write-in candidates. And Dale Jernstadt received 571 votes, and Jeff Thorne received 785. I'm a little surprised he got that many votes, especially Dale Jernstadt is the one that sold his property. I think he's a millionaire now, so conflict of interest. But he is just so rude beyond that. Like, of all of the people on the board, I think he was the most rude. I don't know. Jim Chapman was very rude as well, so hard to say. The recall election was closely watched by local and national media, as well as by state and federal lawmakers, and obviously other countries, who saw it as a test of public opinion on China and its influence in the U.S. economy. So that's why people are paying attention. They want to know, is America going to let China come in with their Silk Road and basically take over using economic development? Because that's what they're doing in Vietnam, in Africa, parts of Africa, obviously, not all of Africa, and so on and so forth. So China, that's how they do. They go in with economic development, their Silk Road. They don't want to use war because they know they can't win that way, but they don't have to. So it is something to watch out for. Biden's Republican critics, such as former President Donald Trump, have seized upon the assertion that these programs are a boon to China. Vivek Ramaswamy, another GOP presidential hopeful, also aligned himself with local residents in Michigan who opposed the construction of a plant and focused his message on China. According to Rep. John Molinar, this message resonates with certain voters in crucial swing states, as evidenced by the outcome of today's election. Last Tuesday, a week ago. Molinar, whose district encompasses the proposed plant site in Green Charter Township, said people are in favor of jobs coming into the area, but not when there's a link to the CCP. And not when it is an EV battery plant on the second largest river in Michigan and the third largest aquifer. That's another thing. Both of those things, that's enough. That should be enough. Oh, and the fact that we don't want it in our area, that should also be enough. Even some Michigan Democrats are expressing concerns about the election results, acknowledging the need to convince voters that Biden's policies do not favor Beijing or other foreign capitals. But they absolutely do. Rep. Dan Kildee, whose Michigan district is next door to the proposed factory, told Political it's going to be a painful process as we try to reassure folks that Biden's manufacturing tax breaks aren't helping foreign countries. They are. Industrial facility exemptions from taxes are always difficult. Globalization makes them more difficult. So that was the very first article that I saw. Good morning, Zoltan. Unfortunately, won't watch this all live, but I wish y'all a blessed day. Well, thank you. Thank you for dropping in and saying good morning. Always appreciate you hanging out. So the next one I want to share is from the Detroit Free Press. Michigan voters oust local leaders who support massive development projects. Now, this is going to be, of course, more biased. Any Michigan news, I guess, will be, but you'll see where the bias is. Several mid-Michigan communities removed a slew of local elected officials in elections Tuesday after they voted in favor of tax breaks or otherwise supported large development projects in their backyards. A spokeswoman for Governor Gretchen Whitmer and a key business leader downplayed the actions Wednesday morning. But the recalls by local voters may have a drastic impact on a huge electric vehicle battery plant planned for Big Rapids area. Now, this is what I was wondering too. I don't know, and they don't really know either, what exactly can happen now that we have a new board that wants to stop the project. They're obviously going to do everything in their power. What power is that? And it does touch on it a little bit at the very end of this article. Voters in Green Charter Township recalled and replaced 5 board members, including the Township Supervisor, according to the Mecosta County Clerk's Office. They also reversed a note from earlier this year that created a local planning commission, which I didn't know about that until this article. In neighboring Big Rapids Township, voters also replaced the Township Supervisor. Both communities are about an hour north of Grand Rapids. In Eagle Township, just outside Lansing, voters also removed the Township Supervisor. She supported an economic development project that ultimately went to a separate state. But she still signed NDAs, and again, I have an article on that. These resoundingly successful recalls and referendums send a clear message to Michigan legislators, public-private economic development corporations, and Whitmer. Stop forcing toxic developments onto Michigan residents, or your political career is over, said Marjorie Steele, founder of Economic Development Responsibility Alliance of Michigan, an organization created to oppose these projects. Well said. I was really pleased to see this quote relatively high up too, like in the article. So thank you, Detroit Free Press. There's been a couple articles that I've actually really enjoyed from you, and then there's many, many more that are garbage. But anyway, excuse me. The elected leaders ousted in Green Charter and Big Rapids Township supported providing tax abatements for Gotion, a large Chinese company that's promising to invest more than $2.4 billion and create more than 2,300 jobs with $700 in tax incentives, including hundreds of millions through a local tax abatement. The new Green Charter Township Supervisor, Jason Cruz, I'm sorry if that's not how you say it. I have not met, or if I have, I've not, been passing at the Green Charter Township board meetings, is the leader of an organization created to oppose the Gotion project. I did not know that he actually is the leader of MESA, the Mecosta, pretty sure that's the one that they're talking about. Yes, Mecosta Environmental and Security Alliance. Yes, that is the organization. He's one of 5 people voted in Tuesday to replace the previous board. Cruz requested Michigan State Police come to the township official Wednesday morning, confirmed MSP spokesman Shannon Banner. A canine trooper, okay, yes, I wanted to say this. A canine trooper from Mount Pleasant Post, as part of the normal patrol activity, performed a civil standby this morning at the request of the new supervisor of Green Charter Township, while the old supervisor cleared out their personal items from the township hall. I'm going to show you this picture. Look at this. This right here is Jim Chapman with this big trailer taking out furniture. They took out furniture from Green Charter Township building. Now, they said that they bought that furniture with their own money, but that begs the question, what about the furniture then previously? What happened to that? Was it sold, or is it still somewhere? Like, this new board needs furniture. So that was a little sus, and a lot of people did call the cops because he showed up before the cops actually were there, and people called on him. So the canine trooper watched and didn't do anything. Just let him take out whatever he wanted. A bunch of boxes of papers too. I wonder what those contained. Guess we'll never know, but just something I wanted to share with you. All right, going back here, much of the whoops. Uh-oh. There we go. Much of the opposition to the Gotion plant comes amid increasing scrutiny and criticism of a project opponent suggests, without evidence, has nefarious ties to the Chinese government. But there's also criticism of possible future environmental contamination, massive amount of taxpayer money going to the project, and a general lack of transparency or engagement as to whether locals wanted the facility in the first place. The statement, let's see, we continue to steadfastly work to meet our commitment of creating 2,350 jobs in the state of Michigan while communicating factually and transparently with all regulatory organizations. This is Chuck Thelen, the VP. The statement did not directly address possible ramifications of local leaders rescinding tax abatements. In a follow-up statement, Thelen said, the company isn't going to comment on any hypotheticals. So if they rescind the tax abatement, will Gotion back out? That would be amazing, would it not? Whitmer frequently champions these large economic development projects, arguing the Gotion plant, a proposed electric vehicle plant in Marshall, and other Michigan communities will elevate the state's standing in a changing automotive industry. In a statement Wednesday morning, Whitmer spokesman Stacey LaRoche suggested the Gotion project already received the local support needed to lock in the development. Gotion has received support from locals and has received all the necessary votes from local leadership to lock in this transformational investment. Meanwhile, Republicans have pushed a campaign for months to kill 2,300 jobs in Mecosta County, one of the most economically challenged regions in the state, LaRoche said. I really don't like that they do that. This is one of the reasons I don't like, news from the states. Meanwhile, Republicans have pushed a campaign for months. No. Grassroots movements that are Republican, independent, if you've been here any length of time, I really don't like that. They just constantly blame. They want you to keep doing this back and forth between Republicans and Democrats. We need to get out of that mindset. It's not just Republicans. Other people don't like it either. There are Democrats that don't want it. Okay? We are not going to get distracted by politics and will continue to work with anyone to bring good paying jobs to every corner of Michigan. This is LaRoche. That's what she said. She did not clarify whether she's indicating the new local leaders in Green Charter Township or elsewhere could not rescind tax abatements. It's not immediately clear what would prevent newly elected board members from reversing decisions made by previous boards. Chris Johnson, general counsel for the Michigan Municipal League, said some previous actions can be reversed while others may not. It depends on the specific act under consideration, what contracts or other agreements might be in place, and any number of other factors. It's just not as cut and dry as somebody may think it is, Johnson said. The MEDC oversees many deals that involve enticing large companies to expand or build in Michigan through tax breaks, including the Gotion project. Not just tax breaks, but actually bribing, giving our taxpayer dollars to that company, a private company, to bring them here. It's wrong. A spokesman for MEDC did not immediately respond to a request for comment Wednesday morning. Whitmer and MEDC leadership have repeatedly said they value public input on large community development projects, pointing to the votes of some local leaders to help pave the way for large facilities. However, in communities around the state, many local residents contend they were left in the dark about projects they feel will negatively change their communities. And not only that, but she never asked for public input. She was never at any of the protests or any of the meetings or she doesn't give a crap. She wants it. She's going to get it. That's why she does what she does with wind and solar too, which I'm going to get into wind and solar tomorrow. I have a lot of information on that. So here's Politico. I'm going to read some of it, but Politico sucks. I'm not going to lie. They are, they suck. How a tiny town sent a big message to China and Biden. A recall election tossed out 5 board members who had approved tax breaks for a company to China. Voters in a rural township in Michigan sent a message to their leaders Tuesday. Don't help China. You see how they all go on to that Republican talking point where it's just about China? I'm so happy India News actually put in environmental concerns. A recall election in Green Charter Township threw out 5 local Republicans who backed tax breaks for multi-billion-dollar battery plant part tied to Chinese company. Never mind the project's promise of more than 2,000 jobs for the economically depressed region. Now, maybe I'm ignorant. I know that this area is struggling, as is most areas across America. So I just don't like when they say that economically depressed region. We have a lot going on for us that is really good. So I don't know. Let me know what you think. Am I being too picky on that? That could spell difficulties for Biden, who is counting on a surge of job-creating battery plants, electric vehicle factories, and other clean energy projects supported by his signature climate law to sway voters next year. Biden's GOP critics, including President Trump, have latched onto the claim that these programs are a giveaway to Beijing, whose companies dominate the global supply chain for green technology. Which, I watched this guy, Lawai? No. I'll put his name down below, his YouTube channel. But he talks about China. He lived in China for 10 years and married a Chinese woman. And so he's got a lot of insight on the Chinese government, how they work. And he says it's hilarious that people think that China boasts the green technology, but they just put in 6 more coal plants. I mean, it's very two-faced. This green technology isn't even good for the environment. So again, not going to get it back into that, but it's very interesting to see exactly what's going on in China. So I will leave that link down below. The voters' voices were heard, said Rep. John Molinar, whose district includes the site of the proposed plant in Green Charter Township. People are in favor of jobs. Okay, I already said that one. It's going to be a painful process. That one I already said too. This has a lot of the same stuff I'm seeing. We want to attract those jobs in Michigan, stay at the forefront of innovation and technology, but we do need to understand. Well, let me go back. I'm sorry. Let me go back. Still, even as Democrats acknowledge the pitfalls of Biden's industrial policies, Kildee and others say they must push ahead with a message that the president's policies are creating jobs for Americans, the owners of individual factories notwithstanding. Rep. Debbie Dingell, a Democrat of Michigan, called the election result a blip in the state, but said it underscores the need to compete against China in the race to dominate the energy technologies of the future. A blip in the state. You know, I've been writing a list of people, different representatives here in Michigan, and different things that they have said or done that are not good for the people, disregard what the people want. And I will share that list, for next year's election. But this person is definitely going to be on the list. This is a blip in the state? I don't think so. We're just getting started. Listen to what we have to say, or you're out. And that is the message that was sent loud and clear. That is why I'm really pleased with what happened last week. Regardless, this new township board, maybe they won't like it. Next year, I believe they have to be elected again next year. So to keep on the natural cycle. So they have a year to try it out. If they hate it, or, if they don't do a good job, then they can be voted out. But the message was sent. That is the most important thing. We don't like what you're doing. We want to know what's going on. We're paying attention now. We're awake. That's the message. So don't tell me it's a blip. We want to attract those jobs in Michigan, stay at the forefront of innovation and technology, but we do need to understand what the challenges are, she said. And I'm working with everybody, the environmentalists, the White House, the car companies, the union, so we stay competitive, so we stay at the forefront. I'm not going to let China win this market. I highlighted this because it's too late. What are you talking about? The market was created by China. Now we're trying to compete with the market they created. That's garbage, by the way. I just read another article I'm going to share with you sometime. Their firefighters are giving up. They think that letting EV cars just burn is the only option they have. How good is that for the environment? Just letting the whole car go up in flames and burn however long it takes for it to go out. The factory, part of me had this really weird idea that China is actually like creating these batteries that blow up on purpose. Like, I know that's very conspiratorial, but, why not? If you could take out some Americans, I don't know. I don't like it, okay? I don't like that the batteries are so dangerous. The firefighters can't put it out. It's, it's sus. The planned factory in Green Charter Township has faced a groundswell of opposition since it was announced, last year. The township's 7-member board approved a tax abatement plan for Gotion, which has also received millions of dollars from the state. No, millions of dollars from taxpayers. The state doesn't have any money. Gotion has repeatedly insisted that the CCP. Good morning, Connie. Thank you very much for hanging out. I also have some news, by the way, about the Illinois factory for Dragonfly. So there's a meeting going on next week, Tuesday. So definitely show up to that, and I'll have the details here in a couple articles. Gotion has repeatedly insisted that Chinese Communist Party has no presence in North American company. Okay, come down here today. Tuesday's vote ousted 5 of the township board members, all of them Republicans. Its other two members had resigned before the vote. So that's another thing too. All of the new board members for Green Charter Township, they did not go Republican or Democrat. They filed under nothing, which I didn't know you could do that, but that's cool. The Republicans absolutely helped them get into place, but I don't see anything wrong with that unless the Republicans say, oh, we like this thing, we want you to do this, and the people don't want you to. Then you listen to the people, of course. It doesn't matter. They were supposed to help you. That's what they're hired for. That's why we hired them. But the people come first. The Gotion project is just one of a handful of green energy facilities across the United States that have sparked GOP ire over use of Chinese technology or links to China-based companies. 2 hours to the south, Ford has halted construction of its planned $3.5 billion Blue Oval Battery Park, Michigan project that has faced similar congressional pushback over its plan to license technology from a Chinese battery maker. Again, though, that's only part of the story, Politico. The other part is that they don't want a huge battery plant or whatever, what have you. They don't want a building basically the size of Mackinac Island in their tiny little community. They would rather have a nice park, a greenhouse, things that are recreational and, Michigan beautiful. What is the slogan? I can't even remember right now, but yeah, come to Michigan because it's beautiful with all the trees and the water. Not because we have huge Mackinac Island-sized buildings. In May, the Energy Department killed a proposed $200 million grant for a Texas-based company called Microvast, which had drawn repeated attacks from GOP lawmakers because it has a subsidiary in China. That money would have come from Biden's bipartisan 2021 infrastructure law. China provides the bulk of the world's parts and minerals for electric cars, batteries, solar panels, and wind turbines, posing a challenge for Biden's goals of fostering a surge of green energy technologies and slashing the nation's greenhouse gas pollution. Again, why are we trying to compete in China's market? It's stupid. Really stupid. Chuck Thelen, oh, you know what? Skipping that. Senator Marco Rubio from Florida, a longtime critic of Biden's approach to Beijing, argued Wednesday that companies with Chinese ownership inevitably follow the directives of the Communist Party, and that it's impossible for U.S. businesses to compete fairly with them. These Chinese companies are subsidized by the Communist Party. They will always be cheaper than anybody else, Rubio said, and we're never going to be competitive in any of these fields again, much less self-reliant, if we continue to allow them to game the system in this way. Molinar and GOP Rep. Darian LaHood of Illinois recently introduced the No Gotion Act, to prohibit companies affiliated with CCP from receiving green energy production tax credits under the Inflation Reduction Act. Gotion is also planning a $2 billion electric vehicle lithium battery manufacturing plant in Illinois, which, if they don't get their tax credits, will they still want to come here? I mean, the reason why they want to is because they're going to basically be able to put their plant in here for free. Gotion has called the bill misleading. Okay. Thelen said it would not have any effect on Gotion's Michigan facility, as we are localizing for the benefit of our valued Northern American customers and their goal to participate in the IRA credits. Michigan Democratic Governor Gretchen Whitmer has backed the Gotion project. Her press secretary, Stacey LaRoche, on Wednesday pointed to the support in the community, as evidenced by votes from local leadership to lock in the investment. Republicans have pushed a campaign for months to kill 2,300 jobs in Mecosta County, one of the most economically challenged regions in the state. She said, "We are not going to get distracted by politics, and will continue to work with anyone to bring good-paying jobs to every corner of Michigan." Distracted by politics? How about we're not going to listen to the people, and we'll continue to work with anyone, including the Chinese, to bring good-paying jobs. We all know it's garbage-paying job, 42, 45,000, something like that. Which, yeah, not going to get into it. If we spend our time worrying about the way that some tiny little corner of a project could be used against us in the next campaign, we'd never do anything, said Rep. Sean Casten, an Illinois Democrat who works on energy issues. I just think, do the right thing and then explain to people why you did it. Yeah, that last thing bothered me. What did I put here? I put a note, but it's not letting me bring it up. Oh well. The right thing. Yeah, what is the right thing? To me, the right thing is listen to the people. All right. This is from the Big Rapids Pioneer on the day after. The Green Charter Township residents weigh in on full board replacement. Following the election, Green Charter Township locals are weighing in on the ousting of the entire incumbent board. On Tuesday, Township Supervisor James Chapman, The recall followed a series of tense township meetings over the board's handling of the prospective Gotion Inc. battery component factory, with many citing their lack of transparency. Connie says that is what is being spewed on MSM. Don't let politics get in the way. Right. Yeah, see, I don't watch mainstream media, so thank you for letting me know. Sometimes I go ask my dad because he watches Fox News to try to see, what they're talking about, what angle that they're trying to bring to people. And I really don't like that. I don't like that angle at all. Don't let politics get in the way. What are you supposed to be doing? If you're a politician, what is your job? Is it really that's the question. What is your job? 2 days after the election, Green Charter Township resident Michael Marsick said he was surprised about the results. I feel bad for the whole group, he said. I think they didn't deserve to lose their jobs like that. But what will you do? I think the final word would be, it's a positive thing, but time will tell. Marsick pointed to the friction of Gotion controversy has caused in the community. Who knows where that's going to eventually lead in the future? It's a little alarming, I think, but it's paradise, he said of Green Township. Hopefully, it'll stay that way. See, this article, I think, is kind of poorly written. I don't really understand what he's trying to say here. I think more clarification or context would have been helpful. So I'm pretty sure to me, it sounds like he's saying it's paradise right now. It's a little alarming that the Gotion project could be coming to Green Charter Township, and hopefully that it'll stay paradise after Green Charter Township, or after they get the battery plant. Not really sure. I don't know. John Cassidy, whose daughter, Nikki Stricker, owns the Pie with Hole in Paris. The Pie Hole. I'm sorry. I've never been there. The Pie Hole in Paris, said he feels the recall was the right thing to do. I don't feel that the board was honest with the people. They should have been upfront with all the information they had right from the start. They shouldn't have held anything back. I think that's what really hurt the board. Absolutely. Cassidy said he thinks Chapman is a decent person and he likes him, but he has issues with the former supervisor's handling of the situation. I don't feel he was honest, and I don't feel he was one of the people, he said. Yeah, again, I was very surprised at how he treated, especially on Facebook. Wow, how he treated the constituents, the people he's supposed to be working for, that he didn't agree with. I'm like, it was completely unprofessional. It was awful. He hopes this situation is an eye-opener for future boards regarding transparency. I wish it hadn't happened the way it did, but if you're honest, they'll go your way. If you're not, they won't go your way. And that's well said. Cassidy also expressed doubts that the battery plant will bring in as many jobs as advertised. I don't feel there's going to be 2,300 jobs. I think it's going to be all robotic, or most of it. And that's another thing tomorrow. I want to talk to you about wind turbines. It's a Michigan week, okay? Because a lot is going on. But wind turbines, and solar panels, and robotics and automation here in Michigan. There's so much going on. It's going so fast. It's crazy how fast everything's going. He also expressed distrust of China and was confused as to why a Chinese company would be allowed to come to the United States given the tensions between the two nations. Common sense stuff. They say they're going to be at war with the United States, he said. I don't know why they would allow it. I don't know why they would allow a company to come to the United States when they're threatened to be at war with us. I don't understand that. Agree to disagree. Nikki Stricker said her business has been facing some boycotts, and she hoped there could have been another avenue to create change. Am I happy that everybody got recalled? No, she said. I think there are better ways they could have gone about it. I think there needs to be more transparency. She was disappointed with how both sides carried themselves throughout the election season. I think it was dirty, she said. I think there was dirty politicking on both sides leading up to it. I'm ashamed of the way a lot of people on both sides compose themselves. It's not the way you represent your community. Not everybody was like that, but it was a lot of ugly. Her mother, Donnie Cassidy, disagrees with her on Gotion controversy, yet the two continue to work together amicably. I enjoy working with her, so I retired to work with her, Donnie Cassidy said. She's a busy girl. She stays busy. You gotta be proud of her. Stricker believes in agreeing to disagree. It's part of being an adult. She said, we can respect each other's opinions. I see her points. Her points are valid. To me, my points are valid, and that's okay. She expressed doubts that either side of the issue is free of blame, which she believes is inevitable in politics. Nobody's clean. Nobody, she said. I don't think any politicians are clean. If you're clean, you have a job. You don't do politics. Again, well said. I mean, yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I was thinking about doing not the Green Charter Township Board. I'm not from that township. I was thinking about trying to go onto my own township board, but I have decided that this is where I need to be. I do not want to actually be in the government ever again. Stricker gives the former board the benefit of the doubt. Do I think they were malicious in trying to bring in Gotion? No, I don't, she said. I think they had the best intentions in trying to bring in the manufacturing of something other than the two factories that are in Big Rapids. However, Stricker wished it was an American company taking the spot. Do I like that it's a Chinese company? No, I don't. I'd prefer an American company, she said. I'd love to see whoever they had in line with that land and do the same thing that Gotion is proposing. We'll find out. Wait and see. Don Richmond, who lives in the township and works at Mr. C's party store, said he was surprised the current board was ousted. He said it didn't seem to line up with his experience of talking to the people who came into Mr. C's. I'm going to do a wait and see because there's just been so much misinformation and everything put out there about both sides that I'm going to wait until everything pans out and then formulate my opinion, he said. Billy Milligan, co-owner of Paris Archery, said she was happy because a change was necessary. The way all that went down as far as the Gotion thing and the sneaky and underhandedness of it, we didn't agree with it and the people have spoken. Well said. Milligan believes her business also has been subject to boycotts. I might have been boycotted a little bit. I don't know, but I'm not really worried about it. She's hopeful for the future with a new board in charge of the township. I think we need younger new blood in there to work with the community because they will, I believe, be more transparent, honest about everything. Well, I hope so too. I mean, they see what happens if you're not. Milligan encourages people to continue voicing their opinions. I think people need to show up at the board meetings and be active in the community. Like we've been standing up for this, we need to stand up for everything. Thank you. I concur. My board meeting is tonight, so I will not be going to Green Charter Township board meetings anymore. They're the same night as mine. I'm going to go and try to hold my board accountable, although they are going to be probably replaced next year. This is just more. I wanted to quote Lori Brock for you really quick, and this is in Wood TV News. Tuesday night, News 8 spoke with Lori Brock, who helped start the petition. She says, since speaking out about Gotion, she has received death threats and had signs in her yard taken down. We're moving forward with lawsuits against Gotion. We prepared ourselves a long time ago for a couple-year battle with them, so we're ready for it, Brock said. The new board is ready and waiting to go into effect. They want to clean up the township and actually, do some positive things for the community. Be accountable. Be transparent. We need that. We really do. These people that are set up are amazing people. Each one of them cares. Each one of them is invested in this community, and I think they're going to do a phenomenal job, Brock said. So I wanted to include that quote. I really hope that they do a phenomenal job. I wish them the best of luck. Now, this is a video really quick. I know that it's over. I want to share this channel with you, Rumor Radar. This individual was obviously helping the Green Charter Township board get replaced. And I thought this was very funny. And I think if you're interested, I think he's going to do more next year for elections and stuff. So wanted to share a fellow creator's work.
If the door is that way.
Quick question. No question, no questions.
Somewhat trustworthy. If the door is that way.
No questions from the floor. Sir, if you are disorderly, the door is that way. I explained that last month.
If the door is that way.
No.
If the door is that way.
If you want to be disorderly, you're welcome to leave. Sir, if you are disorderly, the door is that way. You can't find the door by yourself.
If the door is that way.
This is not the time to comment.
If the door is that way.
I'm sorry, we're not, this is not the time.
If the door is that way.
These people standing here, they are your boss.
And if you don't like it, there's the door.
They did. They showed him where the door was. I'm going to let it go because it might be one more. Nope. All right. So I thought that was hilarious. There are several videos on here, very funny, out politicking. I don't think this one, I'm not going to watch the whole thing, but just to give you an idea, it's funny.
Out politicking. Out politicking.
Jim?
Yep.
What are you doing here?
No questions.
Oh, what are you doing here?
No questions. Out politicking. We got an election next Tuesday, and I'm out talking. I'm talking to people, letting them know. All right.
Okay, so I would have totally shared that with you guys before the election. I did not know about it. I apologize. Please consider subscribing to that channel and check out what they got going on. I think the videos are really funny. And so thank you to this fellow creator from a small town in Michigan. All right, next up, this is out of the Midwesterner. Chinese company Gotion High-Tech is getting $715 million in taxpayer dollars, seeks business with Iran. Now, this, of course, is something to be concerned about because of the whole East versus West setup of the world war that they're doing right now in the mainstream media. Unfortunately, this is the problem that they're going to create so that the United Nations can create the solution of a one world government, right? So on the West, you have the obvious America and Europe. And then on the East, you have Iran, Russia, and China. Those are the three big ones on the East. So the fact that Gotion and Iran are conversing is concerning to this world war narrative. So Gotion Inc. plans to build a multi-billion-dollar electric vehicle battery component plant in Mecosta County after drawing even more scrutiny. The company's connections to the People's Republic of China and the CCP are cited as a source of concern, particularly due to the proposed site being in close proximity to the U.S. National Guard facility outside Grayling. That scrutiny has been intensified by revelations. A delegation of Islamic Republic of Iran government and officials met with Gotion officials at the company's headquarters in China this past Saturday. Former U.S. ambassadors Pete Hoekstra and Joseph Sella on Monday exposed the meeting between the delegation and Iran Ministry of Industry, Mine and Trade, Abbas Alibadi, with Gotion High-Tech CEO Li Zhen and Hefei People's Republic of China. The purpose of the meeting, according to Hoekstra and Sella, was to broaden bilateral trade and cooperation between the two countries. Hoekstra and Sella, Hoekstra, they just forgot the K, okay, and Sella cited reports of the meeting published by the Islamic Republican News Agency and Tasnim News Agency, which is controlled by the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, a branch of the Iranian Armed Forces. Chuck Thelen, the American overseeing the company's expansion in the U.S., did not appear in the photograph above. Come down here, let's see. Additionally, Iranian Supreme Leader not even going to try, stated, "The situation between America and Iran is this. When you chant death to America, it is not just a slogan, it is a policy." The two former ambassadors say the meetings reveal the PRC-CCP regime is intertwined with Iran. Of course they are. Gotion's ties to Iran are further evidence of the corrupted nature of the parties to this deal, and we call on Governor Gretchen Whitmer and the MEDC to cancel the deal with Gotion, Hoekstra and Silla said in a statement. So I wanted to share that with you, another nefarious connection that Gotion has. This comes out of onlinenews.biz. Alabama rejected a CCP-linked electric vehicle company's project that would ultimately give the blue states the green light. So this is just showing that, and this just dropped yesterday, so this is brand new news. Before Chinese electric vehicle battery maker moved forward with its controversial projects in Michigan and Illinois, the company turned to a small town in Alabama that rejected the plan on national security grounds, Fox News Digital has learned. So Alabama said no, and they're better than, their government is working for the people better than our government. California-based Gotion Inc., whose parent company, okay, I'm not going to do all that. However, local officials involved in reviewing the proposal, which Gotion wanted to develop on the site of the shuttered freight car America factory in Muscle Shoals, Alabama, ultimately rejected the project after learning more about Gotion. Gotion eventually adopted the plant elsewhere, receiving commitments from Michigan to develop a battery components plant and from Illinois to a battery cell factory. Kevin Jackson, president of the Shoals Economic Development Authority, declined to comment on the proposal in an email, saying the organization had entered into a non-disclosure agreement with Gotion to discuss the potential facility. So he can't say any details because he signed an NDA as well. Jackson said the agreement will last for 3 years after the project is completed. I am going to say this right here. Gotion approached the Shoals Economic Development Authority last year. Interest in this project is being gauged according to the people familiar with the negotiations. The proposal to build a factory in Alabama was not reported. Right. So it's Gotion that pushes the NDAs because they know people don't want a Chinese company in their backyard. They don't want a Chinese company here in America at all. That goes into being xenophobic and stuff. There is no doubt that the CCP wants to plant its flag in the American heartland, including here in Alabama. Alabama Republican Senator Katie Britt told Fox News. The CCP is our country's greatest national security and geopolitical threat, and we must remember that everything it does is our enemy. Senator Katie Britt of Alabama said, who has fought to protect their state from China's economic aggression. There's, this article, by the way, not the best, but had information in it, and it just popped out. So Gotion has vigorously defended its development plans in the U.S., saying the parent company is publicly owned and the CCP has no influence over its operations. Yeah, when I highlighted parent company is publicly owned, no, the parent company is owned by the Chinese government. That's how it works. We have investigated over 56 sites over the last 2 years, and after this thorough investigation, we landed on the material site in Michigan and the finished goods sites in Illinois. Chuck Thelen, Gotion's VP of North American Operations, told Fox News Digital. Come down here, Democratic Governor J.B. Pritzker and Gotion High-Tech Chairman Lee Zen both delivered speeches celebrating the factory in Montanaro. Oh my gosh. That's not how you say it at all. There's no R. Mantino, Illinois. I'm sorry. So I find it interesting, by the way, this governor, Michigan governor, both went to Davos, and this governor gave one of the biggest donation that you could get, $250,000 to Whitmer. It's weird to me. Why would one governor give to another governor? I don't know. Let's see. After searching nationwide for a location to build its EV battery site, Gotion announced it would be in Big Rapids, Michigan in October of 2022. Democratic Governor Gretchen Whitmer welcomed the announcement, saying it would cement our status as a global hub for mobility and electrification. Ugh. Then in September, Gotion announced construction of a separate $2 billion battery plant in Illinois, along with Democratic Governor J.B. Pritzker, whose administration is providing $536 million in taxpayer-funded initiatives for the project. Gotion High Tech Chairman and President Lee Zinn gave a speech at a ceremony announcing the project and thanked the supportive state government. So, Illinois, we're in this together, and hopefully we can stop it from happening. Here is the information for the meeting. The showdown, massive turnout expected at Gotion plant hearing amid safety political concerns. This came out just last week, November 8th of 2023. A pivotal rezoning hearing for the Gotion battery plant has been moved to accommodate an anticipated large turnout. Officials have shifted the venue from the Leo Hassett Community Center to the Mantino Elementary School, signaling the community's heightened interest in the plant's future. Initially set for today, it was rescheduled for next week, Tuesday, November 21st, and will allow public input on Gotion's controversial rezoning application, from light industrial to heavy industrial, to pave the way for a new lithium battery factory aimed at booming an EV market. So please, Dragonfly, if you can, show up, voice your opinion. I think obviously it's important to do so, and it can cause change. Next up, we have a recall election. Patty Schaefer loses seat in Eagle Township. Eagle Township residents are voting. Tuesday night, voters picked Troy Stroud to take Patty Schaefer's seat in the recall election. He won 72% of the vote. So congratulations to that individual. Please, again, listen to the people that voted you in. The reason why that other individual was voted out was because of the Eagle Township megasite. So I have been covering that megasite as well as the others. There hasn't been a lot of updates going on with that, I think because that project actually went somewhere else. But the race puts incumbent, this was before the vote. So while many want the project to stay out of town, there are some that see major benefits. One of those is Lansing Economic Area Partnership, LEAP, of course, the Economic Development Corporations. They want this. Who conducted a study on 400 individuals from Eaton and Clinton counties that found 65% are in favor of the megasite. So I don't know. Does this seem like 65% are in favor? To me, it's loud and clear that people did not like what she was trying to do and replaced her. But again, we're going to keep an eye out on what's going on in Eagle Township and with the new supervisor. Michigan election results. Coleman, Stone win mayor bids. Dems lose House edge. So when I first heard that these two individuals who were, state reps and helped Michigan have a Democratic majority, why would they leave then if the two of them leaving would shift it so that it's actually even? It's completely even right now. Which, yeah, I'm going to get into this. So Michigan voters turned out to the polls on Tuesday, electing two state representatives as mayors of Southeast Michigan communities and costing Democrats the majority in the state House as a result. Why would they do that? The first thing that came to my mind is that these two cities, these two communities, are going to be extremely important for the future of Michigan as far as the plans of the globalists. I know for a fact she is in a committee for economic development, so they are involved. They know. That's just my take. That the reason why they risked the House majority is because those two places, they needed a Democratic mayor that would put in 15-minute cities or what have you. Which, by the way, real quick side note, I found out that right now New York City is talking about a congestion zone. So that's a new terminology that you need to be aware of, because over in Europe, in London right now, they're talking about low emission zones. So congestion zone, same concept. There's going to be an area by Madison Square Garden and all of a really downtown area in New York City. $26 a day. They're talking between $9 and $26. They have to vote on it, see what they're going to do. A day. to drive in that area. It's coming fast, man. It's coming fast. And so just be on the lookout for congestion zones, low emission zones, basically them messing with our mobility with vehicles and basically taxing it. That's what they're trying to do. So look out for those people in those areas. State rep won handedly over the Westland mayor, Mike Londo, in the race to succeed longtime Mayor Bill Wild. Let's see. In Warren, fellow Democratic state rep Lori Stone became the first female mayor of Michigan's third largest city, defeating Human Resources Director George Dimas in the contest to replace term-limited Mayor Jim Fotes. Which, real quick, I wanted to say this mayor, he actually wanted to stay in. He had 4 terms, and they told him that he termed out, like he couldn't be on the ballot. And he was actually suing to get back on the ballot. I didn't know any of this until I looked into it. And he never got on the ballot, of course. So it makes me wonder, like, they basically forced him out. And in the end, he conceded, but he wanted to run and wasn't able to. And I think that's weird. The loss of the majority could prove short-lived. Both districts trend Democratic, and House rules stipulate that Speaker Joe Tate of Detroit retains control of the legislative agenda in the event of a tie between the vacancies and the subsequent special election, which would be set by Governor Gretchen Whitmer. But not until next year, because they unfortunately, what is it called? They're in recession or something? No, I don't know. I should know the terms. I'm sorry. This is the first year that I've been doing this political stuff, and so I don't know all the terminology yet. But I will. I wanted to show this. Now, this is a little side note. I'm sorry, and it's a little unorganized, but this is for I think Warren. So Warren in 2021 got a new city plan, and I just wanted to point out this nodes. I've never heard mixed use node. The very first time I think I've ever heard of node was in the Hunger Games, when they had these different nodes, these different sections in the city that had different traps, okay, for when they were in the Capitol. But I think that it's interesting that they use that word, and then you come over here and you see that they use that word here as well. Oh, denial. Diversity in the context, a 15-minute city concept is twofold. The need for mixed-use neighborhoods, which are primarily in providing a healthy mix of residential, commercial, and entertainment components, and diversity in culture and people. Mixed-use neighborhood is key in sustaining economically vibrant urban fabrics, ensuring sufficient housing of all urban residents. I had the word node somewhere here. There it is. Come up, maybe? Yes, there we go. Proximity. This paper promotes the dimension of proximity, which is viewed to be both temporal and spatial. That is, within the 15-minute quickly accessible radial nodes. So I'm going to actually read this entire thing and maybe go over it in a separate video, of course. Introducing the 15-minute city sustainable resilience plan identified in the future post-pandemic cities. So I think this is going to be really important and informative, but just something, these words that I've noticed that I wanted to share with you so that maybe you will notice those words and can share with others. All right. The rural Michigan town fighting against right-wing conspiracy theories. Now, this township I have not heard of. It's all the way by Ohio, but I wanted to bring it up because I wanted to, try to show more than just my little area of Michigan. This is part of Michigan too, and it's important. Conspiracy theory. Okay, so this is The Guardian. Just everybody know this is legacy media. This is establishment media. So when they say conspiracy theory, I just say critical thinker. Okay, a critical thinker, touting clerk, and far-right supervisor was ousted in Adams Township, but new officials face issues as the 2024 elections loom. In early October, Beverly Sharp addressed a table of poll workers, election officials, and activists gathered in rural township, Michigan, with a prayer. It is a plea lodged in earnest ahead of an unprecedented election year. Hillsdale County, where Adams is located, has been roiled by election conspiracy theories since the 2020 election. And officials say a growing right-wing movement is now stoking fears of political violence ahead of the 2024 election. Again, when you see far right, think of anti-establishment as well. Far right just means anti-establishment. Across the country, where 73% of voters supported Donald Trump in 2020, questions of election denialism and far-right politics have split the community. A fraction of the Hillsdale County GOP, dubbed the America First Republicans, split off from more traditional conservatives following the January 6th Capitol riot when Trump and his allies tried to overturn his election loss. Yeah, it's like when Trump and his allies tried to overturn his election loss, that's really what people think happened? I don't know. That's not what I think happened. But in October, the group appointed a new chair, David Stone, the former leader of the Michigan-based Christian Huttery militia? Huttery, probably. The election next year will be really bad, said Adam Township Clerk Susie Roberts, who is tasked with running the town's elections. Yes, the election next year will be really bad. It is something that I'm concerned for everybody. I'm concerned about it. I really am. Roberts took office in May, ousting a conspiracy theory touting clerk in a recall election that also removed a far-right supervisor from the township board in hopes of bringing stability to the politically fractious community following a series of alarming incidents. Roberts took office in May, ousting a conspiracy theory touting clerk. Wow, I just read that. A former member of American First Republicans told The Guardian in April that she had faced slurs, harassment, and threats after she left the group, prompting her to file a police report. Sharp, who is 93, and campaigned for the May recall, described a harrowing encounter at a township meeting with a member of the American First Republicans in 2020. He shouted, "You stupid effing women," said Sharp, and followed her and another longtime poll worker all the way out the parking lot. Obviously, don't ever behave like that. I mean, a 93-year-old woman? That is nuts. You don't treat elderly like that. It doesn't matter what their politics are. So, I'm not going to get into this entire thing. I suggest you read it, especially if you're close to this township, or obviously if you're from this township. I do think that it's important to treat people with respect, again, even if you don't agree with their politics or anything. If you don't agree with anything, don't treat people like that. To run local election, new clerks must learn how to work Michigan voters' rules and become fluent in policies governing voter registration, overseas voters, and absentee voting. On top of that, Michigan recently passed a constitutional amendment creating an early voting period and allowing people to permanently vote absentee, a move that will expand voting access but has administrators scrambling to implement new rules. The Adams Township Board agreed to have local voters cast their early ballots at a single county-wide location shared with other towns, rather than open up a separate voting location to limit extra work. But Scott loudly objected in a speech that a local right-wing group posted to YouTube, claiming the measure would compromise the security of elections. "You guys just sold out Adams Township," she said. Scott has continued to attend township meetings, and she and her allies have decried centralized elections, invoking a conspiracy theory that state officials want to have fewer election hubs so that they can more easily rig the elections, and accusing local officials of aiding that scheme. Now, I highlighted this because I think it's really important. Here in Michigan, again, that each township had to vote whether or not they were going to hold the township election, the early voting election, at their township or go elsewhere. Most that I have seen have actually chose to do one location, just like this township, for the county, so a county-wide early voting process. I thought that was a good idea. I never considered this, centralized elections. That's true. Now, it is just for early voting, I believe, but still, the other option, though, is that the township pays like $20,000 to get a separate machine for early voting. So it's like damned if you do, damned if you don't. Obviously, I don't want $20,000 for an early voting machine. I don't think we should even have this early voting. This is all making voting convoluted and confusing. Which brings me into this ranked choice voting passed in 3 cities, but Michigan law prohibits it. So this came out last week. Voters in East Lansing, Kalamazoo, and Royal Oak passed proposals Tuesday to change the city's voting systems to ranked choice voting, a system that allows voters to rank candidates in order of preference. Now, somebody, I'm sorry, I forgot the name, but commented and mentioned this ranked choice voting, which I've never heard of, but it's just another way they're changing our voting to make it more convoluted and confusing for next year. It sucks. Connie says, not to mention, they try to tack on violence if it's connected to the words conservative, far right, etc. You're right. They are. They're trying to make it seem like the people that want to either vote for Trump or not even just, they're not for Biden. That they're, like you said, they're violent and we need to be careful of them. That they're going to, basically, they're scaring the hell out of all the people that are supposed to hold the voting, right? That are in charge of the voting. That's probably why my township also let the county vote instead. Let the county have the early voting machine for the vote instead. It's like people are scared, right? You don't want to have a bunch of individuals that are violent, according to the mainstream media, coming in and possibly attacking you or something. So they don't want to, be in charge of the voting in that way as well. Just so many layers of what's going on. It's crazy. Supporters of ranked choice voting say it better reflects majority sentiment in races with many candidates. Opponents argue that it confuses voters and complicates the voting process. Even though the RCV measures passed Tuesday, they will have no effect until Lansing lawmakers allow RCV to be used in the state. Under the system, if a single candidate doesn't win 50% of the votes, the candidate with the least first-place votes is automatically eliminated. Ballots are recounted, and the second-place votes of people who voted for the eliminated candidate are redistributed among the remaining candidates. The process continues until one candidate achieves a majority of votes and is declared the winner. In Lansing, ranked choice voting won by 52%, by 51% of the votes in Royal Oak, and 71% in Kalamazoo. Kalamazoo. My husband works a lot of different places, and he worked in one place because he takes out bathrooms. Usually he's taking out tubs and putting in showers, and usually it's for the elderly for several reasons. But of course, the older generations have the money, and they obviously can't get into the tub as easily. And so, anyway, he was in Kalamazoo, and the individual there said, "This is Democrat land. Like, we don't like Republicans here." Like she said that to him, and he's not a Republican. It's just like she made it sound like Kalamazoo is extremely exclusive, and it's Democrat only here. Which I obviously don't like that. But Kalamazoo also has Pfizer. Has a Pfizer manufacturing facility there, so I'm not a fan of Kalamazoo at all. It's dirty city. Sorry if you're from there. East Point implemented ranked choice voting to fill city council seats in 2019, part of the settlement in a federal civil rights lawsuit with the U.S. Justice Department. The lawsuit alleged the Voting Rights Act has been violated, citing that a black candidate had never won a local election, although black residents make up of 40% of the city's population. Several places across the county have adapted this system in recent years, including New York City, which began implementing it in 2021, and Alaska, where the system has been used since 2022 for state and general elections. According to the report by Unite American Institute, a nonpartisan research organization, there was a 58% increase in Alaskans casting a vote compared to 2020 before ranked choice voting was implemented. The state had the third highest participation in the primary election that same year. Well, I don't know much about ranked choice voting. except for this article and maybe one or two that I have read. But it still doesn't give you an idea of like how it works or what's going on with it. So something else we'll have to keep our eye out on. But to me, it does sound like it's just another way to confuse the vote next year. I mean, anything to make it seem like we don't know who won. That's basically what I think the goal is for next year. No one's going to believe it. I've been saying that. No one's going to believe whoever it is, which it's going to be Donald Trump. But this is the Michigan Democrats to lose majority, creating a 54-54 divide. Just more information. If I didn't highlight anything, then I'm just going to share it down below and have you read it, which I did not highlight anything. If you want to read more about the Democrats losing the House majority. Another thing I wanted to show, $17 million budget deficit discovered after Wayne Westland School District thought it had a surplus. Now, this is where they just have a new mayor, brand new mayor. But how in the hell, $17 million budget deficit? Before an annual audit, the district thought it had a surplus, but the review of finances revealed the massive shortfall. The district collected approximately $135 million in revenue, but had expenses of $152 million. Dozens of people attended a special meeting on Wednesday night to ask questions about what comes next. At this moment right now, we don't know exactly where we are. But we know that we've got a tremendous problem that has to be addressed, said Wayne Westland School Board President David Cox. While teachers and school employees wait to see what happens next, they are worried about the future, of course. It has caused a lot of us to feel very stressed and overwhelmed, said Ashley Haworth, an elementary building substitute. It has personally caused me a lot of physical stress in my own body, and I can't perform my job at the same status I normally would. I have that highlighted because what are you trying to do? Are you trying to get like some time off or something? Like, I heard this kind of stuff when I was in the military, like, you know, to get a waiver or something, like you make it extreme, you know, like, oh, this is, I don't know, I'm so stressed out, I'm throwing up and stuff, and I need assistance. I don't know. I really don't know what she's trying to say. Has caused me a lot of physical stress in my own body, and I can't perform my job at the same status because you have a deficit. Or not you don't even have a deficit. The school that you substitute for has a deficit. I don't understand. The district released a statement which reads in part that this is not a result of a deliberate miscalculation or misconduct. The statement goes on to say that school budgets are generally more complex due to the influx of COVID funds. The influx of COVID funds. So you got a bunch of money, and yet you're still $17 million deficit. What the hell is going on? All right, now I'm going to talk about this. Kristina Karamo. They are trying to remove her. Effort to remove Michigan GOP chair builds momentum as infighting and debt plague the party. Now, at the beginning of this year, the first 3-4 months, I think it was, I went to my first and only ever political dinner thing, a GOP dinner. I was invited, and I thank that individual profusely for inviting me. It was very enlightening, and I want to learn about how this stuff works and what's going on, so thank you. I met her co-chair. Connie says, remember how Nessel came after older voting overseas who questioned the results in their precincts? I do not remember that, actually. I was going to try to get to Dana Nessel today. Something's going on with her, but unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to. I want to talk about her possibly being fired. I don't know the appropriate word, but basically, you're getting fired. I think she should be, personally. There's so much information on her and all her corrupt behavior. The AG is awful. So I hope she's out. But I did not know that she went after older voting overseas who questioned the results. I'm going to have to look into that. Former staunch allies of Michigan GOP. Going back quickly. I met the co-chair that allegedly they fought like a couple months afterwards. I have several articles to share. And I just wanted to say that the co-chair was very friendly, but wanted to know my bio or my credentials. She wanted to know my credentials before we would maybe meet up or something, because I have I have neighbors that are Republicans and that were trying to help me make connections and such, and I really appreciate those individuals. I appreciate all the connections that I have made this year. It's been really a wonderful experience, I will say, a very enlightening experience. But yeah, I mean, I don't really, I have credentials, I suppose, military credentials, Airman Leadership School, that kind of thing. But I just don't, I don't know. To me, when somebody asks for credentials, what are you looking for? You looking for, I went to Yale or Harvard or something? Like, those credentials are garbage to me. In fact, if you have those credentials, I'm a little sus. So I don't know. It kind of rubbed me the wrong way a little bit. I'm just going to be honest. I did not like that she wanted to know my credentials. Talk to me, watch my videos. I am just a human being that is trying to tell the truth. How about those credentials? I just want people to know what's going on and share information and connect with people. And I want love, your neighbor, and, those are my credentials. And I don't think those are the ones that she wanted. And I don't think they would do anything for me when it comes to the GOP. So, which is totally fine because I'm not a Republican. So, but I would still love to meet Kristina Karamo, which brings me all the way back around. The only time I ever saw her, and I didn't even know it was her, was at a Gotion protest, the first one, I think, that was in Big Rapids, Michigan. And she was on the other side of the street saying, chanting. And I think she had a microphone, and she was chanting. And I just said, you could watch the video. I said, oh, I love that woman. And I didn't even know who she was because she was just chanting and she had a good beat. And I don't know. I know that sounds cheesy as hell, whatever. That's the only time I ever saw her, and I never got to talk to her or anything, but I would love to because I follow her on Twitter or X, whatever. And I have not disagreed with her yet on anything that she posts. To me, it seems like she knows what's going on. Again, that's why they're trying to kick her ass out. She's anti-establishment, and there are plenty of Republican establishment officials, rhinos, if you want to call them that. But to me, it's just Republican establishment folk, and she does not fit that bill. And another thing, you see all the time that, a woman, first-time mayor, a Black woman, a first Black person to be in charge of FSU, Fair State University, whatever. You see these identity politics all the time, but when it comes to Kristina Karamo, nothing from that side. Now, I hate identity politics. It should be about who you are as a person, your character, obviously, what choices you make, what you're trying to do for the world and your community, and therefore the world. So, from what I know about Kristina Karamo, I like her. I'd love to meet her, and I wish her the best of luck in everything she does. Former staunch allies of Michigan GOP chairwoman Kristina Karamo, who assumed the role following an unsuccessful Secretary of State campaign, are now uniting to remove her as the party remains mired in infighting and hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. It's a swift fall for Karamo, an election conspiracy theorist, who in February was overwhelmingly elected by grassroots activists to lead the state party through the next presidential election until early 2025. And there's another thing, grassroots, baby. The grassroots Republicans wanted her, the normal people, not the Davoses and all the rich folk, okay? It's not the rich folk that put her in. And that is why they are trying to kick her out. And that pisses me off. The people want her. Let's see. Connie says Kalamazoo has gone down a lot. Yeah, to be honest, I haven't been to Kalamazoo since I've been moved back to Michigan, so it's been over 15 years. And I don't have any desire. Let's see. She needs a safe space. Talking about Kristina Karamo. Yeah, I don't think there is such thing as a safe space, but I really hope if she does get kicked out, go to the Libertarian Party. That's what I mean. And I'm not even saying that I agree 100%, but I don't even know if they have money. I don't know. I don't know anything about the Libertarian Party besides they're for small government, which is what I'm for. I'm for small government. Teeny, teeny, tiny, teeny, tiny. Connie says they misused the COVID funds. The school did. The 17 million. They must have. But how did they like funnel it to people? It's crazy, that 17 million deficit. All right. So the grassroots activists are the ones who hired her. The people like her from the Republican Party, and yet the Republican establishment want to kick her out, which means the establishment Republican don't care about what the actual grassroots people want, which is a damn problem. Michigan Republicans were coming off historic losses in the 2022 midterms, and Karamo promised to rebuild the state into a political machine that strikes fear in the hearts of Democrats. Just 9 months later, a petition is circling within the state GOP calling for a vote to remove Karamo as chairwoman. According to internal communications obtained by the Associated Press, party members supporting the petition say Karamo has done little in her time to advance the party, which had at least $500,000 in debt as of last month. She inherited that debt. There's another article. And this article doesn't say it, I don't think. This is Up North Live, but the AP originally posted it, the Associated Press. But I wanted to use Up North Live instead of the Associated Press website to get them clicks. All right, just 9 months later, okay, the turmoil among Donald Trump loyalists who have largely controlled former state GOP operations since 2020 has added to growing discord among Michigan Republicans who are grasping for a strategy to turn around the party's string of recent losses. Now, real quick, if I'm wrong about this, let me know, but I'm pretty sure Trump endorsed Kristina Karamo for a different position that she did not get. And then in this position that she did end up the GOP becoming the GOP chairwoman, I don't think Trump actually endorsed her for this position. I think he endorsed another individual. Now, again, correct me if I'm wrong, but that would indicate that it didn't matter that Trump wanted this other individual. The people thought Kristina Karamo was better, even though Trump didn't endorse her. If I'm wrong about that, I apologize. That is what I have read somewhere. That is the imprint in my mind that I'm sharing with you. I love Kristina as an individual, as a person. I think she's an amazing, amazing woman when you talk to her one-on-one about stuff. But her administration and the way she's operating has been an absolute disappointment, said John Smith, a former district chair of the Michigan GOP, who stepped down last month. Why? Why did he step down last month? Karamo did not respond to a request for comment by the AP. The Michigan GOP has historically been one of the most powerful state parties in the country, led by the likes of former Education Secretary Betsy DeVos and Ronna McDaniel, who is now the chair of the Republican National Committee. With millions in fundraising, the state party helped Michigan Republicans hold control over the governor's office and both chambers of the legislature from 2011 to 2018. With millions in fundraising, yeah, when you have millionaire establishment folk on your side, you can do things. But since Trump's 2016 presidential victory in Michigan, fervent grassroots Trump supporters have gradually gained prominence within the party. In 2022, Democrats swept every statewide race and gained control of all levels of state government for the first time in 40 years. Now, it absolutely could have been that this happened authentically. Or it could be that Michigan, and this is another thing I want to talk to you guys about tomorrow, hopefully, but I will be talking to you about this. I'm going to show you this book. This book right here, Move, The Forces Uprooting Us, sorry. And I don't know how to say this individual's name. Do not buy this book, please. I am going to read it and I will share the information in it with you. This individual is part of the World Economic Forum. And in this book, he says that Michigan is the spot to be by 2050. It will be the best place to live in the world climate-wise and everything else. Michigan. They have their eye on Michigan. And when I heard about this book came out in 2021, I just can't believe it. It's just yet another proof for me that Michigan is a huge target for the globalists, the central planners, for Davos. But yeah, don't give him any money. He is a World Economic Forum puppet. But I needed the information, so I did. I bought it. I don't know where I was going with that. I don't know even where it came from, but Karamo Oh, that's where it came from. The fact that Michigan is so important for the globalists' future ideas they want to implement, that they absolutely needed a full Democratic Michigan government. They need Whitmer, which is one of the main reasons my husband completely disagrees with me on Whitmer going up for president, because he thinks she's exactly where she needs to be. The globalists want her there, and that's why she will not be going up for presidency. So we'll see. I mean, there is definitely merit to that idea that she is exactly where they want her to be. Karamo, a former college instructor, rose to prominence after claiming she saw election fraud as a poll challenger in Detroit. No evidence of voting fraud was found. Oh, really? And she lost by 14 percentage points in the Secretary of State race last year after being backed by Trump. Okay, so there, she was backed by Trump for the Secretary of State race. 3 months later, she was elected by Republican delegates to lead the Michigan GOP. Oh, Connie says, no, the educator is the one who needs a safe space. Ah, I see. Yes. Yeah, I completely agree with what you're saying now. I know that there's a little bit of a lag, too, between myself and the chat, so I'm sorry for that little bit of confusion there, but thank you for clarifying. Many members who supported Karamo's candidacy have lost faith, and infighting has consumed the GOP in recent months. Now, again, I'm not a Republican, but I don't like this. I don't like infighting, especially when we have the enemy at our gates or a Trojan horse coming in. I don't like it. But the establishment is constantly going after anti-establishment individuals, so it escalated to the point of physical altercation during an executive committee meeting on July 8th. Mark DeYoung, chairman of the Clare County Republican Party, was hospitalized after a party activist who was unhappy that the meeting was closed kicked him in the crotch. According to a Clare police report, the activist, James Chapman, was later charged with assault and battery and disturbing the peace. Now, James Chapman is not the same Jim Chapman, obviously, is James... Not obviously. Jim Chapman's real name is James Chapman of Green Charter Township, but this is a different James Chapman. Smith, the former 5th District chair, who said he still gets calls every day about party affairs, estimated that between 55% and 65% of the state's more than 100 Republican Party state committee members currently want to remove Karamo as chair. The petition calls for voting on Karamo's removal was first circulated by a state committee member. On October 24th, Daniel Lawless, it was first reported by the Detroit News. I regret to say that after much thought and reflection, I have become convinced that Kristina Karamo cannot lead us in this effort, and it is upon us, the state committee, to replace her and move our party forward. Lawless wrote in an email to the other state committee members that was obtained by the AP. Half of the party state committee members would need to sign the petition before it could go to a vote, which would require 75% approval to oust Karamo. The petition is just one of multiple efforts to remove Karamo. That's, again, it's unfortunate. The grassroots movement wanted her. The potential vote follows the party's biannual leadership conference on Mackinac Island in September. The conference attracted 6 presidential candidates in 2015, the state's last contested GOP presidential primary. This year, the event was headlined by former Arizona candidate Carrie Lake, actor Jim Caviezel, and presidential hopeful Vivek Ramaswamy. The Michigan GOP agreed to pay $110,000 for the actor's appearance. Oh, God. That sucks. We had a goal to raise a lot of money for that event, and unfortunately, that did not occur, Karamo said at the conference, which is unfortunate. Again, I'm not a Republican, but this infighting, it is embarrassing for the party, and I don't care about the party so much as Kristina Karamo. I don't think it's fair to her. And in this next article that I have to share, let's see. Right here, from the Detroit Free Press, is awful. Michigan Republican Party boss cashes in while party struggles to raise dough. Such a misleading title. This individual, don't trust him. This is basically a lie. You can't say it is a lie, but it basically is the way he said it. So before she became state Republican Party chairwoman, Kristina Karamo had all the answers. But her job as a quiz master didn't pay nearly as much as her current gig, which came with many hard questions. By almost every measure, the Michigan GOP is hitting lows Republicans haven't seen in decades, with one notable exception, Chairman Kristina Karamo. Michigan has a Democratic governor, attorney general, and secretary of state. Democrats have majority in the House and Senate. Whatever. President Joe Biden put Michigan back in the blue column in 2020. No matter what people who confuse aluminum foil with whatever haberdashery may tell you. Joe Biden put Michigan back in the blue column in 2020. Yeah, Joe Biden did that. No matter what tinfoil hat person will tell you. Whatever. This individual, after getting waxed in statewide races and losing control of the state and Senate, the state House and Senate in 2022, Republicans pointed their metaphorical guns inward, unloading both barrels Elmer Fudd style on any whatever. While political foot soldiers occasionally skirmish among themselves, and the balance of power occasionally tilts dramatically from one party to the other, one thing we almost never see in Michigan is a state Republican Party struggling to keep the lights on. I'm speaking metaphorically, of course, because Karamo came up with a novel way to avoid having the power cut off at the party's headquarters in Lansing by trading it for a post office box in Grand Rapids that requires neither utilities nor, apparently, much space for donations. Lost in all the rancor of the party in turmoil is the apparent windfall for the Michigan GOP chairwoman who, depending on your perspective, is either standing in the eye of the hurricane or caused the storm. How can you say she's caused the storm when it's only been 9 months that she's been in? That's because while the party may be struggling to pay its bills, public records reveal Karamo is almost certainly making more than she ever has. Based on the latest information available, she's being paid more than 4 times what she was earning before becoming chairwoman and more than 10 times what she was making 10 years ago. She's getting paid the exact same as the previous chairperson. The only reason that he can say this is because before she got into politics, she didn't make that much money. So now you're going to hold that against her? Again, she didn't give herself a huge raise compared to the previous individual. She just kept the same pay. To find out how much Karamo as party chairwoman is essentially paying herself, you'll have to keep reading, because first we're going to examine public records that reveal something the GOP may find even more troubling after the leader tasked with helping the party overcome one of the greatest challenges of its recent history. Nothing in Karamo's work history indicates that she has the experience or expertise required to perform the kind of miracle required to reverse Republican fortunates before the 2024 elections. She was a quiz master. Okay, so what? It's going to go into what she did before. So what? When Karamo ran for state party chairwoman, she emphasized her commitment to grassroots, which makes sense since she was paid $30 an hour in the summer of 2018 to work on Law and Academy at Wayne County Community College. Sometimes classes have names that have very little to do with the course's content. But when I asked college officials what the class was all about, they replied, Lawn Academy is about learning to grow grass and working on your garden. It is a continuing education, non-credit course. You know, again, this hit piece is garbage. During her 7 years with WCCCD, Karamo also taught fundamentals. Okay. Still going into what she did before, not talking about what exactly is going on now that makes her unqualified. What is it that she's supposed to be doing that she can't do because she hasn't been in politics her whole life? I mean, she's an intelligent, beautiful woman. Why in the hell can't she do the job? I just don't believe you. She can learn how to do the job. The people want her, help her. Don't kick her out. It appears Karamo's salary is $2,500 a week or $130,000 per year, which would be in line with that some of her predecessors have been paid. But look, you have to go almost to the end of the article to actually see that. The party's last chairman Ron Weiser didn't take a salary. Instead, the wealthy real estate investor donated millions to keep the party afloat through the 2022 elections. If Karamo was making $37,000 every 2 months, her annual salary would be $208,000. If that is so, that would break with Michigan GOP custom, which dictated that the party chair couldn't make more than the top state officials. In 2022, Governor Gretchen Whitmer's salary was $159,000. She just got a $1 million new driveway with EV chargers. So how is it that her salary is only $159,000 a year? Karamo's counterpart at the Michigan Democratic Party is paid $122,000. Public records reveal a lot about her work qualifications and salary history, but there may be more to the story, which is why I sent her a text message, left her a voicemail for the state Republicans, sent a message to, I sent questions. Questions I'm curious about include, what in your work history gives you confidence you can turn the party around? And how can you justify taking what appears to be a typical chair's salary when the party is facing abnormally hard times? Unfortunately, we're all learning that the Karamo gave up her job as a quiz master. She also stopped giving us answers. Whatever. I'm just going to read the title. Leaked audio. Michigan GOP chair says outrage over Holocaust tweet was completely hilarious. Okay. This isn't the exact article I thought, but so I'm going to share this. The GOP. Boom. History has shown us that the first thing a government does when it wants total control over its people is to disarm them. President Reagan once stated, if we lose freedom here, there is nowhere else to escape to. This is the last stand on earth. Hashtag 2A, hashtag GOP. Before they collected all the wedding rings, they collected all the guns. This is what they were talking, this is what she is laughing about, people being upset about. I completely agree. What is wrong with this tweet? It is laughable that people are so upset about it. After suffering a set of embarrassing defeats, yeah, whatever. Unsurprisingly, Karamo once accused Beyonce of here we go. Who once accused Beyonce of spreading paganism. She does. And believes demonic possession is real. It is. It is already doubling down on the far-right rhetoric that doomed her own campaign for Secretary of State in 2022. Speaking at a party function on May 17th, Karamo laughed off concerns about a tweet from the Michigan GOP that invoked the Holocaust to condemn gun control measures, according to the Daily Beast. The tweet amplified the popular right-wing argument that the Nazis' campaign of systemic mass murder was possible because of gun ownership restrictions. Is it not? On top of an image of wedding rings left behind by murdered Jews, the Michigan GOP tweet reads, yes, before they collected all the wedding rings, they collected all the guns. Figures in both parties criticized the tweet as an offensive trivialization of the Holocaust. The head of Republican Jewish Coalition called it absolutely inappropriate and called the Michigan GOP to take it down immediately. In her remarks at the Lincoln Day dinner in the Montcalm County, Karamo made clear she did not care about such concerns, even dismissing the continued anger over the tweet. Hilarious. Completely hilarious. Reading this kind of stuff makes me want to meet her even more, to be honest. Like, it takes a lot to just push aside all the criticism that she's getting, that it takes a lot. She's got courage and she's got brains, and I appreciate those things about her. They're still going on and on about that, she continued. Are you going to apologize? I'm like, really? Are you guys still going on about this? Referencing her identity as a Black woman, Karamo said, I get this mail, and it's about how I'm encouraging white supremacy and xenophobia, all this. I just laugh so hard. In her remarks, however, Karamo may have unintentionally laid bare how she, and a significant portion of the party, views the role of firearms. Connie says she is being attacked because she is a conservative Black woman and anti-establishment. You're absolutely right. I mean, it's egregious that you can't be a conservative Black individual. Thomas Sowell, Candace Owens, Kristina Karamo, all three brilliant individuals. All three get called awful names by people that are allegedly, not racist. Us being armed is not about stopping a burglar, she said. It's not about hunting. It's about stopping a tyrannical government. And if you know a thing or two about history, we know that governments have a tendency to be very abusive to its citizenry. Mentioning basic things like history on several occasions to defend the Holocaust meme, Karamo also depicted Democratic opposition as very violent and godless people. Not all of them, but there are certainly a lot of them. For Michigan Republicans in their chairs, and that's the thing too, I want to go back. There are a lot of people right now that are angry, on edge, godless, nihilistic, narcissistic. There are a lot of people that do terrible things on both sides and are violent, more violent than I have seen. Like, I feel it, I'm sure you feel it. People are not their best selves right now. That's the truth on no matter who, what side, no matter what political party you want to affiliate yourself with. So we need to be aware of that. There are people that are God-fearing, loving people on the Democratic side, and there are people that are God-fearing, loving people on the Republican side. And the opposite, right? There are terrible, evil, or not even evil. There are people that are desperate, and again, if you don't have anything, if life is meaningless, then you can justify terrible things. So that's why nihilism is awful. And it's one of the errors of Russia that have spread over here. Actually, around the whole world. For Michigan Republicans, if their chair's fringe style prevails, it'll likely point to more embarrassing defeats in 2024 for a once proud party organization. That outcome would have national implications. Michigan is not only a crucial battleground state in 2024 presidential race, but will host an open seat U.S. Senate contest that could help decide the majority in that chamber. I didn't know that. I don't know enough about the ins and outs of the Senate or the House. But as Karamo's career trajectory shows in today's GOP, election blowouts are no impediment to personal success for rising MAGA leaders. After a failed run in office, she rose to prominence after serving as a poll watcher in Michigan during the 2020 election and pushing conspiratorial claims of widespread voter fraud and illegal voting, which they are conspiratorial claims, but they're not theories. With a newfound platform, she would go on to claim the January 6th attack Capitol was a false flag operation and to speculate that Michigan was the epicenter of the Great Reset, a spin-off COVID conspiracy theory, positing that the World Economic Forum fabricated the pandemic to install a global government. Wackier still were her repeated claims that modern concepts like evolution are demonic scams or that abortion is akin to pagan sacrifice. Wow, that whole paragraph said so much. And I did not read it before this. I just read the first couple and I wanted to share it with you. And so, wow, is all I have to say. I'm going to reread this because she would go on to claim that January 6th attack on the Capitol was a false flag. It was. If you look right now at our Capitol, it is surrounded by walls that have never gone down and never will. Because the politicians, the establishment, they know that eventually the sleeping giant will wake up and start trying to do something. They don't know what, we don't know what, and I don't want it to be violence. But they are terrified that it will be violence, and they use the Hegelian dialect on us with the problem, reaction, solution. And now you can't go into the Capitol, basically. Although I'm not going to get into everything that just happened at the Capitol recently. It's nuts. So I agree. It was a false flag operation in the end. To speculate that Michigan was the epicenter of the Great Reset, it is. It is. Like, this book proves that too. It's just another proof. We are the epicenter of the Great Reset agenda. The World Economic Forum, the United Nations, has its eye because we have 20% of the fresh water with our Great Lakes. We have resources. And allegedly, we're going to be a climate oasis by 2050. So, yeah, we are the epicenter of the Great Reset. A spin-off COVID conspiracy theory. A spin-off COVID conspiracy theory? The Great Reset is real. There's a book about it. Klaus Schwab wrote a book in 2020, which, how can you write a book with, I think it was June it dropped of 2020. So within 5 months of the COVID narrative being out, there was a book dropped. The World Economic Forum fabricated the pandemic to install the global government. The World Economic Forum didn't. The United Nations, along with the Vatican and the central banks, World Bank, maybe. I don't know who is at the top of the central banks. Doesn't really matter. Those are the ones that are fabricated the pandemic. Well, obviously with Big Pharma. Wackier still were her repeated claims that modern concepts like evolution are demonic scams. They are. We do not evolve that way. There is no such thing as evolution. We were created in God's image. Sorry, evolution is a scam. And abortion is akin to pagan sacrifice. Again, I am sorry. I agree with that. And I'm just throwing out all my what I believe out. I don't care. This is the truth. The truth is abortion is awful, it's evil, it's murder, and it is a sacrifice. And the fact that they are pushing it so hard is a sign. Now, I think, why can't we help individuals that get pregnant and don't want to be? Help them, not by helping them get rid of it, but help them by helping with their medical bills, take care of them. You know, there is a different way that we can be doing this. Planned Parenthood is an evil entity. They sell the baby parts. It is not a conspiracy. It is a fact. They have a vested interest in baby parts. That is why they have a vested interest in abortion and want it legal. And not just legal, they want us to do it all the time. And people are. And it's awful. And this video isn't about abortion, so I apologize. I'm going to continue on. Such comments helped Karamo win the GOP nomination for Secretary of State. After a conspiracy-laden campaign, she lost to Democrat Benson by 14 points, practically a blowout in evenly divided Michigan. But her ascension to Michigan GOP chair just months later demonstrated that Karamo had figured out the incentive structure of a party reshaped by former President Donald Trump. Pushing all manners of conspiracy theories, she capitalized on the MAGA base's appetite for more extreme rhetoric and a distrust of institutions above all else, including the imperative to win elections. No. She wants to just tell the truth. And the truth is stranger than fiction. As the Daily Beast previously reported, Michigan Democrats have been surprised by the dearth of top-tier Republican recruits in their state. Right-wing media personality Tudor Dixon challenged Governor Whitmer, lost by 11 points, which focused much more on culture war issues such as transgenders and women's sports than economic ones such as inflation. All right. I don't know. Can't keep going on with this one, but that is this article is Daily Beast, okay? It's full of crap, but there are truths within it. And like I said, I like Kristina Karamo. I wish I could meet them. Them. They, them? No. I wish I could meet her. So this is I'm just gonna read this. I thought it was funny. I laughed out loud. Rolling Stones, he kicked me in my balls. Fight at Michigan GOP meeting turns physical, says the report. Came out July 9th. Of course, Rolling Stones would have such a title. This is the AP election conspiracist to lead Michigan through the 2024. Look at this, though. Karamo inherits in a state party torn by infighting and millions in debt. Right there, the AP said this was when? February 18th. So the beginning of this year, they were willing to give her the benefit of the doubt and to say, yeah, she is stepping into a position that there's already millions of dollars in debt. And now they're blaming it on her and they're saying, well, why is she taking the same salary as the previous position when she has all this debt? And they say all these terrible things about her. It's like they're not doing her any justice whatsoever. And because the establishment is so against her, that's why I like her. One of the many reasons. Again, I have not disagreed with anything that she has said publicly so far. Last thing I'm going to share really quick. Michigan lawmakers propose new transparency push, then call it a year. So our government is out of session for the rest of the year. Michigan lawmakers on Thursday introduced legislation that would, for the first time, subject themselves and the governor to public records requests under the state's Freedom of Information Act. The proposal won't see any action for months, however, because lawmakers held their last votes of the year last Thursday. The legislature recessed after Democrats temporarily lost their House majority when 2 members won mayoral races that will force them to leave the chamber. So this bill that they put into place that they were so excited about, this transparency bill, it actually was passed at 1 in the morning. So much for transparency. Oh yeah, you know what? I am. This is what I'm going to leave you with. This is Clint Beach, and this was November 7th. He sent letters to every senator just now after being denied a chance to speak at the Capitol today. I might have gone unheard in the hearing, but we'll talk at precedent length afterwards. The letter sent, I was unable to speak today in the Energy and Environment hearing. I missed a day of work. I drove to the Capitol, waited hours to ensure a seat, and filled out a card, and still was not granted a precious 2 minutes to speak. Last week, I missed another day of work, drove to the Capitol, signed the cards to speak, waited 2 hours until we were told the hearing was canceled. Again, I was not heard that day. I went unheard. My voice was silenced. I did everything I was supposed to do, followed every rule, followed every procedure demanded of me. I missed work. I lost pay and time precious to me about issues important to me that will have repercussions for me and my entire family, and was still not heard. So was a room full of people, and as well as the overfill room. Only the lobbyists and the associations got to speak. All paid to be there. Even the farmer's daughter was paid by the energy lobbyists to speak today. We heard them in the lobby. Only the people who stand to make the most money were allowed to speak today. While those of us who are going to lose our homes or communities that we have invested in for so many years will have all that taken away from us without even a peep. The majority of your cards read today were in opposition, yet all were silenced. That is exactly why local government is so vital to our government. So the people we serve get to have a voice, get to be heard, get to be part of the decision making. At the local township board level, very seldom does anyone have to miss work to attend. You are given ample time to voice oppositions, to suggest improvements, to change ordinances, to openly discuss issues that affect communities. You have a voice. You are heard and have a say in what affects the community. What happened today is a perfect example of why these bills that passed out of committee will not work and will only serve to hurt the people of Michigan, no matter what your intentions were. The people must be heard. There must remain a process where they get a voice, a vote, a veto, a seat at the table. The local people built that community and need to have a say to be able to say yes or no vote on how it grows and changes. Not just the corporations from out of state, not just the lobbyists, not just a 3-person board from somewhere else in the state. Local homes, local communities, local vote, local voice. All this hearing did today was prove our point. No matter how much you say that we will still be heard, today proved that we will not. It will be just more of the same, silenced. It is unfair and unjustified. It is an unfair and unjustified power grab that allows these appointed, non-elected managers to operate above the law and often against the will of the people. These words were from the then State Senator Gretchen Whitmer of 2011. She opposed legislation to let state take power from local governments. The bill, which Governor Schneider signed into law, letting state-appointed emergency managers take control of local governments. Whitmer opposed the bill, a bill that directly led to the Flint water crisis. Ask the people of Flint how well that turned out. No one prosecuted. That's freaking how well it turned out. Now, Governor Whitmer is trying to do the exact same thing, so vehemently opposed, by pushing the state and Senate to pass bills, by pushing Senate and House to pass bills that are designed to usurp local governing bodies' authority, to deny the local elected officials to create safe, smart, well-researched ordinances designed to protect the health and well-being of local communities. giving power to state-appointed 3-person board, not elected, to make decisions all over the state that will affect local communities for generations, only serving the energy lobbyists, and often against the will of the people. Against the will of the people. As elected officials to serve the people, we should never shy from tough conversations. That is literally the job. These bills are no more than a knee-jerk reaction to silence those conversations. We keep hearing about the views of stakeholders, but these bills would only silence those who have the most at stake. The Michigan Township is against these bills. The Association of Michigan Counties are against these bills. The Michigan Farm Bureau is against these bills. If all these people are against the bills, then who are they written for? Speaking of the bills, Senator McCain introduced to repeal the local preemption and the ban on the project labor assessment. IT sends messages to local governments. We don't trust you to make decisions on the behalf of the people who elected you. So, this was Clint Beach Planning Commission from, oh no, one more butchering before I go. Cohocton Township, a small farmer. This individual right here getting ready for Santa season. Thank you for sending that out. I am sorry that you were silenced, and so many of the people of Michigan have been silenced and will continue to be silenced as long as this government is in charge. And again, I don't know what exactly the answer is. I don't know except to love thy neighbor and spread the truth. Share the truth, share information. And, I thought to myself, why am I doing this? There are many reasons, but one of the very important reasons is to be a witness, to witness what is happening, to know what is going on, so that if any of us survives it, we can tell the real story, the true story of what happened to America. So I obviously hope for a lot. I love America. I love our values. I love God and country. But most of all, I love human beings and I love my neighbor, and I just want us to live in peace and harmony. So I have said enough today. Tomorrow, again, I'm going to talk to you about the MOVE book and Michigan in 2050, what exactly they think it's going to look like. I'm going to talk about wind and solar, plastic bags possibly being banned here in Michigan, or not banned, taxed. If you want to have a plastic bag, you're going to be taxed. There's just tax on tax on tax, right? So please join me tomorrow, 10 a.m. I will talk about tons of Michigan news. It is a Michigan week. So love thy neighbor. Thank you so much for hanging out. I'm going to see what Connie has to say before I head out. People are not doing well psychologically right now, and it is part of the destabilization of society. You're absolutely right. And the only answer that I have is to have God, not a specific religious God, but just something outside of our hierarchy to aspire to. That's it. So that we have morals. The death of God in our consciousness was a huge, huge devastation to society as a whole. That's what I see. So I love you guys. Thank you, Connie, for hanging out. I hope to see you tomorrow at 10 a.m. And I hope that I can show you some things that maybe you didn't know. I'll see you tomorrow.